Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, Dr. Devori. Today, I'd like to continue with you the introduction for somatic experiencing. As I've mentioned before, somatic experiencing is a method in which we release and relax trauma that's stuck in the cells of the body. Last time I shared with you a story about Sarah, my client, with a bicycle, and how her body remembered the trauma that happened to her and reenacted the trauma 17 years later. Today I'd like to continue with that topic of proving to you that cellular memory does exist. In the book The Journey, Brendan Bay brings the following story. One day, a guy, about a 50-year-old person, had to go through a kidney transplant. Well, after the op, he woke up and he started speaking about all the amazing experiencing he had with his girlfriend in Holland and other places in Europe, and his wife was standing there going a little bit bananas, and the children were standing there looking at each other like, what's going on? They've never heard this before. And then they shared these stories with the doctor. The doctor said, just give me a few minutes. He went, he came back, and he said, well, after a little investigation, I'd like to inform you that the stories of your husband, your father, are not his stories. They are the stories of the person where the kidney came from. Hence, here's another proof that cellular memory does exist, and we keep our memories, good or bad, inside the cells of our body. If you walked somewhere and you fell there, most likely you're not going to fall there again, because there is that cellular memory. Your brainstem, as we've discussed last time, will remember, your body will remember, and it will warn you to be careful there, even if your brain is preoccupied with other things. Now, you know, there's also a concept of remembering dates. The cellular memory also remembers dates. I had a client, she had a miscarriage on the, let's say, the 2nd of September. Every year, 2nd of September, she falls into depression again, even if she doesn't realize it is the 2nd of September. This is just one story out of many. It's a concept that is known in psychology of cellular memory for dates. Some people get depressed every February. Some people get depressed every beginning of spring. And there is a reason of why that takes place. There's an amazing book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And that is written by Professor Van der Kolk. The whole book is dedicated to prove to you that cellular memory exists and to explain to you different methods of how to externalize this memory and how to heal it. I'd like now to share with you the story of Dr. Peter Levine, the father or the pioneer of somatic experiencing, and how he got into it. It's actually on YouTube, so I would recommend that you watch this YouTube of his, and in fact all of his YouTubes if possible. Dr. Peter Levine in 1969 was working at his practice a lot with trauma, and one girl by the name Nancy, she was actually a married lady by the age of 24, came into his practice. She had so much trauma. She had agoraphobia, which is a fear of leaving their house, panic attacks, headaches, other autoimmune symptoms, and it wasn't clear of what it's coming from, and nobody managed to help her. And Dr. Peter Levine spoke to her, and at one point she started hyperventilating, and her heart was beating fast, and she was breathing very fast. And he said to her, Nancy, just relax, breathe slowly, take it easy, relax. And as she's doing so, her heart rate went below average and her breathing below average. And she said, doctor, please don't let me die, please don't let me die. And he knew that she is stuck somewhere in the past in some sort of trauma. And he said that suddenly he saw an image of a tiger behind him. And later he actually wrote a book about trauma, which is related to the tiger. And he said to her, Nancy, there is a tiger behind you, run. Climb all these cliffs, climb on all these rocks and just run. And what she did was she closed the eyes, and you could see her breathing going faster, and her palms sweating, and her heat increasing, and then suddenly it dropped, and then again another wave, and it dropped. And after 45 minutes of that, she opened up her eyes and she said, "I'm fine now. Thank you so much. Would you like, doctor, to know what happened?" I said, "Oh, certainly." And she said, "Well, I was actually imagining that tiger running behind me, and I was climbing the rocks, and I was busy escaping, and I was breathing fast, and my whole body was helping me to run away and escape. And suddenly I saw myself as a 4-year-old in a hospital with the nurses and doctors all forcing me down, trying to force upon me this anesthesia, and I felt like they're killing me. And I was running from the tiger, running from them, running, escaping, and I managed, and I am fine now." And she never had another panic attack since. And that's when Dr. Peter Levine made the connection between trauma and cellular memory. And since then, he developed this most awesome modality, which is called Somatic Experiencing. And I was one of his students, and it really helps so much. And I will share with you stories in my next YouTube about how Somatic Experiencing helps very fast for things like tics and exam stress and traumas and circulations and pain and other stories. I'd like to share with you one more story from Dr. Peter Levine that's also on YouTube, Ray's story. Ray was a war veteran, and he was sent from America to Iraq to fight. One day, 2 bomb devices exploded in front of him, and he fainted. He found himself in a hospital in Iraq. He was a mess. He was shipped back to America. Nobody could help him. He couldn't integrate back into normal life. He was full of trauma and tics. And the tics that he came with to Dr. Peter Levine were like this. So people said to him, "Why don't you go to Dr. Peter Levine? He will help you with the trauma." And he did. And in the beginning, the first few sessions, it was about connecting him back with the body. Because we know that when there is trauma, then what happens is your soul, the living part of you, dissociates from the body, because the body is no longer a safe haven for your soul to reside in. So this dissociation caused a lot of issues, and that is where the trauma and the symptoms of trauma reside. He lived in a lot of dissociation, and he was a very angry person, couldn't integrate back into normal life. And Dr. Peter Levine explains the reason he had this kind of tics is because imagine something explodes in front of you. What would you be doing? Exactly the same. You would be doing that. But he never had resolution. As we've mentioned before, the trauma started a cycle, but it never resolved itself. It never closed a cycle. So he is now, his brain stem, his reptilian brain, the one that is responsible for survival, thinks he's still there. So if anything can explode anytime, well, you better be ready and do that. Right. And Dr. Peter Levine helped him get rid of this kind of tics. And I would recommend that you watch Dr. Peter Levine and Ray's story. So now I finished the first topic of proving to you that cellular memory does exist. From there, I'm going to go on to amazing stories from my practice. I will also teach you how to get rid of this trauma with amazing exercises. And for now, I'd like to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the view from this safari in South Africa. If you liked it, please like. Share with people that will also benefit from this kind of material. I think this is very good for everyone, people who suffer from ongoing stress and trauma. Subscribe so you can get more of these kind of YouTubes that will enrich you so much. And if you join my WhatsApp group, then you're going to be getting straight into your phone these kind of short YouTubes. You will not be driven crazy because this group is blocked for correspondence. But you will be able to enjoy it anytime when you have some time to just listen. Meantime, thank you for listening. Sending you much love from this safari from South Africa. Dr. Devori.